Hello, beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in. And it's a good afternoon for me right here in Los Angeles tuning in. So, first and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in today for our very special day, our special Empowerment Tuesday right here in the United States. And so, today is indeed a special day because we have a special guest for the special you. And so today is September 9, 2025. And I could tell you that 16 years ago today, I made a decision in my life that completely changed my life. And so I want to welcome you. My name is Kim Hui. I'll be your host this afternoon. And today we have a very special guest. And before I bring him on, I would like to tell a little background, a little story about how my life came to this point, as well as how this call came about. And so I've heard this gentleman. This gentleman have changed my life. The person I'm going to bring on. Some of you know who he is. I would say all of you know who he is. But for this call, so I would say that this gentleman, 32 years ago, the frequency of his voice and his messages had completely changed my life. And back in 32 years ago, when I was a struggling entrepreneur, I couldn't afford to go to his seminars or his workshops. I could only buy a cassette tape 32 years ago. You didn't know who I was, but there was something, there was a resonance in his voice, in his message, that I took it to heart, and that completely changed me and changed my life. And so I would say that the last decade and a half, I had the blessing to share the stage with him, and I had the blessing to share screen time with him. And so today we have him right here with us, and he's a man that needs no introduction because he is the best of the best and the best of the best. And please help me welcome none other than Mr. Les Brown. And I'm gonna do drum roll. Hi, Les. Good
Hello.
evening. How are
Good
ya?
evening. Good afternoon. Hello, wherever you are. I'm great. Let the record show.
Well, thank you, Les. Thank you for coming on. And I want to also give a context of how this call came about. And that is you and I were talking off air, and we were checking on each other. And you had shared something with me that actually fascinated me. I mean, when you say those terms and those words, I'm like, you were able to pinpoint what I was experiencing the last 2 years, I would say. And so, and I want to preface by saying that you had asked me some profound questions, questions that evoke emotions, questions that I went on an introspection on my journey. And so that's why the title of the talk here today is Living a Life That's You. And so Les, maybe what we could open up by saying is that, Les, when you and I were talking, and I love talking to you off air because I mean, on air you're amazing, but off air I get to talk to Les at a whole different level. Unless, as we witness what took place, the global trends that's taking place around the world. And there's two terms that you were telling me. And I'm like, oh my God, Les, I got goosebumps. And that first term you were sharing with me is something called quiet quitting. And the second term was called quiet cracking. And so, Les, maybe you could share with the audience, because they're all familiar with who you are. I mean, you need no introduction. So maybe we can talk about with all that's going on in the world, uh, the work we're doing, and why this is of utmost important. And what's the solution? How do we go about to go from quiet quitting, quiet cracking to thriving in a time of great change right now?
Well, thank you very much. I'm so appreciative to be here. We had a great conversation. Let the record show. One of the things that they've realized that over 72% of people who are going to work on various jobs in corporations that they don't want to be there. It's not them. and they're doing just enough not to get fired. They're being paid just enough not to quit. It's a contract of mediocrity. And then there are those who are quietly cracking. That means that it's getting to them, it's stressing them out, it's compromising their health. In the United States on Monday morning, the heart attack rate between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. increased by 35%. People getting ready to go to jobs that's not them.
Mm,
So when we look at where we are right now, major corporations and franchises that are closing down, a place where many college graduates are realizing when they graduate that over 50% are going back home because they can't find a job. This is a different economy. We were told go to school and graduate, get a good degree, and you can get a job. That day has changed. Over
mhm,
325 million jobs are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. The people that are going to thrive in the face of AI are the people like you and the people that are joining us. And that is a hunger to manifest their purpose, that there's a reason. I believe that we were created on purpose for a purpose. But most people don't discover what you discovered, that, hey, my life matters. There's something that I want that resonates with me, and I'm willing to put myself on the line. I'm willing to go all in to find out what that is. And
mm,
the people that you have attracted to be a part of this call, they're different. They're unique because most people have been programmed to blend in. You're teaching people how to stand out. The people that have a hunger to manifest their purpose, the people that have, and this is major, a strong work ethic. And let
mm.
me just park right there. Work ethic up in here, that you've got to be willing to do the work. A.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough, but make sure you do all you can do.
Mhm,
Most people are not willing to do the work.
mm,
And so, in this place where we are right now, if you have a caring leader like yourself, and you're in a community of collaborative, achievement driven, supportive relationships. Harvard University did the study I mentioned to you that they wanted to know what was it about the one percenters that were able to achieve, those people that were meeting on a regular basis. And what they found, this 78-year study, they had a reference group. They were in a community of people who had similar goals and values and dreams, a hunger to manifest their purpose, living a life that matters. They had a strong work ethic, the willingness to do whatever is required to get the job done. And they
mhm,
were with other people that had that same energy, that same passion and drive. And
mm,
I just read something that I want to share with you. If you are a high performer, this study came out recently, and you're within 25 feet of a person who is brought in who's a low performer, your performance will drop by 30%. So energy is contagious. So what you've done here is creating a community of people that are driven, people who've said to themselves, I want more, this is it. And they're willing to go all in because when you look at where we are right now, and particularly in the United States and globally, there's a different kind of mindset. So many things are happening that it's every morning, every day when you wake up, there's something new. This
mhm,
is not good for our mental health. So the people that are going to make it are doing exactly what you're doing right now. The masses, they're looking at the reality of what's going on. The
mm,
people that are going to create their own reality, they have now focused and disciplined themselves to only focus on things that they can control, things that allow them to have peace and harmony in their lives, things that allow them to live a life that's them, to be their
Mm.
own boss, to control their own future. That's why whenever you call, I always answer. I love the energy and the fire that you have.
Thank you, Les. And you know what, Les, like I was sharing with you last time when you and I spoke a couple of days ago, the last 2 years, a little over 2 years, I've been traveling to different parts of the world and meeting different entrepreneurs. There are people that were hungry, and this is in general, and maybe I can give a little context of how that how this whole topic came about was this. I said, you know what, Les, the times we're living in is different. I mean, besides, the global tension, the economic changes, and the technological shifts. Besides all that, I said there's something different about people. I mean, people initially they get excited about something, but that something that they got excited kind of tapers off. And I couldn't understand why. Because after being an entrepreneur for 32 years, that I said, Les, something's happening in the air. What is it we could do as fellow human beings? And I think you asked me a question, Les. That's how this title came about. And you had asked me, you said, Kim, do you remember what you asked me, Les? You asked me at age of 5 to 10. Would you like to ask that question? Because I think it's profound. And I also asked you, what is that something that will get someone out of that rut, out of that quiet quitting, out of that quiet cracking? What was that something? So, Les, I would love for you to ask me that question. So that way we can tell the audience. I think that is so, like, to me, that
Okay,
was
which
profound.
question? Because we talked for a long time.
I know we did. You said, Kim, was there something at age 5 to 10?
Oh,
What
yes.
was something?
What
Okay,
is
tell
it
yeah.
when you look back at your life between the ages of 5 and 7? What is it that you saw? What is it that you experienced that caused you to become the person that you are now?
Mm,
I
mm.
want you to answer that question.
Yes, sir. I love to do that on screen.
Yeah.
Because you and I, because it evokes so much in me, and I think, okay, so what it was, and I want to give a little context. When I was 5 years old, I was in China, okay, and we were dirt poor, and growing up in an environment, the bathroom were gross, okay, the environment was gross, and there was no freedom, and I felt like I was just a little girl observing my surrounding. I was witnessing the surrounding, but it wasn't me. Then you asked me, okay, go a little further. Then I remember when I got a little older, we went to Hong Kong. And so when I was in Hong Kong, yes, it's a free country, it's a free island, a free country at that time. And so, but at the same time, we were living in this apartment, this old building with a balcony. And the balcony is maybe like 3 feet by 5 feet. And the balcony were all surrounded by metal wrought iron bars. And here was a little girl looking through the bars. And when I look through the bars, what did I see? I saw my neighbors. They also have the same situation. They were inside the balcony with looking through the bars. And I'm like, wow, this is like a prison where as if people were trapped in that. And I still remember Les vividly. And when you and I were talking, I said, all that I was witnessing, it was just the surrounding. That was not me, and that was not mine. And so, because I was just the awareness that's witnessing the surrounding of where I was, but that wasn't me. And so, Mr. Brown, were saying, Kim, that is it. When you knew that all that, whatever that was, you're witnessing, you're going through, it's not you, it's not me, it's not mine. It's about living a life that is you. And I could tell you, Les, for the last 32 years, that's what I did. I went out somehow. I mean, like, I couldn't put in words when I was a 5, 7 year old kid. But after going through that journey, Les, I could tell you now I'm able to put it, I can express that. It is that I knew somehow when I was witnessing all that, I knew there's more to life than whatever I was witnessing. whatever I'm witnessing, that's not me and that's not mine. Same thing with what's happening right now. What you see on television, what you see on news, with the geopolitical differences, with the conflicts, and with AI, with all that stuff. It's not you, it's not yours. There's something more out there. And so when we talk about that, Les, I get so fired up that we could provide a solution for those people who have that. You said, Les, I said, what is that one thing? What do they need? And you said this, that your line is, you've got to be hungry. So
Yes.
when someone have that desire to be hungry, to change, they're knowing that there's something more, then you will get to live a life that's yours. So I would love you to touch upon that, and kind of carry on that you've got to be
Well,
hungry for
there's a
desire.
picture behind me, and it shows the picture you just said about dirt poor. It's my twin brother and I. And I don't know if Peter can bring up this picture here, but this picture here, that it shows where we were at the time. Now, mind you, I'm 80, and so when I think about my brother, and I have this here, I am his full-time caregiver. That I'm on the right and my brother's on the left. I told him I came here looking out for him. We are fraternal twins. That he went out first, and I heard a slap, and he yelled, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And then they pulled me out. Okay, he's 5 years older than me. But when you look at our environment, at this time when we were born, our birth mother had to drive around Miami, Florida, to find an empty building to go in and give birth to us on a floor, because Jackson Memorial Hospital, which is in Miami, the largest hospital, at that time, they say, we don't accept black people. You can't come here. So they drove around and found an abandoned building, went in, gave birth to us on a floor, and then our birth mother put us in foster care, left and went back to Gainesville, Georgia, where I'm now 45 minutes from them. My birth family, of course, our parents have transitioned past. But that when you think about what's going on now, and this is major, and I'm glad you brought this up. We are now nationally and globally victims of systematic weapons of mass distraction.
Hmm.
There are people who are more concerned about the Epstein files, about will is the president in there? I don't care anything about that. That does not move the needle for me. There are people who are concerned about things going on politically or in sports. I don't care. At this time, when you see my brother and I made a commitment going on Miami Beach with my adopted mother. I always say God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. I said, Mama, what is it, Leslie? When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. She said, Oh, Leslie, you don't have to do that. I said, I know, but you didn't have to adopt us either. And Mama and my mother can cook real good. What is it now, Leslie? When I become a man, I'm going to be able to buy groceries for us. We ate the food left over from the families that Mama cooked for. We would wait after Mama cooked for them. They ate and they said, Mamie, whatever food is left over, you can pack it up and take it home to those 7 children that you have adopted. And I said, You're going to be able to cook only for me. My mother could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes, okay? And so that became my hunger, that
Mm.
I was going to take care of my mother, that she was not going to a nursing home, that she took care of us, and I'm going to take care of her. And I think that everybody who's listening to us now, Find a why, something that you are hungry for, something that is your death birth. What do you mean? Something that you say, I'm going to put myself on the line. I'm going to do this before I leave here. That it brings something out of you. And the reason that you have to have a compelling reason is because you're going to have pushback. Things are going to happen that you cannot anticipate. I was labeled educable mentally retarded, put back from the fifth grade to the fourth grade, fill again when I was in the eighth grade at Booker T. Washington High School. And being labeled educable mentally retarded, called the DT, the dumb twin, it did something for me because when I look back, because they judged me. And I met this person who very much had a personality just like yours, Mr. Leroy Washington. He said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. I said, sir, I can't do that. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, look at me. I said, yes, sir. He said, go to the board and work out what I'm telling you anyhow. I said, I can't, sir. And the students, they started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's DT. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. What's DT? He's the dumb twin. He looked at me, and I agreed. And they just broke out in laughter. And he came from behind his desk and he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Do you hear me? And I said, yes, sir. And I want to say something to everybody that's listening as entrepreneurs. When you talk to people, they have a story in their head that they bought into in their environment. And unlike Kim, who said, I'm not having it, this is not me, they identified with it, they blended in. So when you speak to them, and I want you to keep this in mind, you distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract them from the current story in their mind that says, this is as far as you can go. And you, as you present yourself and introduce them to an opportunity that allows them to create their own reality, to be their own boss, to create a hunger in them that drives them to being willing to go all in, to achieve something that allow them to be independent, to be able to provide for their family, and to have their futures secured and not having somebody else tell them what time to get up, how long their lunch break will be, and most of all, how much they're worth. When people look at me now and they look at that picture of me and my brother, they would never be able to say that, oh, one of them, my brother became a military soldier. He was a combat soldier, jumped out of airplanes, and he served for 24 years and a Purple Heart. And I became a global voice. No one would have said, looking at that picture, oh, the one with the sugar cane in his hand. We were eating sugar cane. I don't know how many people listening are familiar with sugar cane. That he would be a voice of influence and inspiration and earning $80,000 an hour. They would have never predicted that. And I say this not to impress anybody. There are things that you can do that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor is in the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. I got to share this with you. I saw someone the other day, and we were communicating, and his father was my mentor in Columbus, Ohio. I was a state legislator, and I was fired from the job that I had. But I saw Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Robert Schuller. And I like to help people. I said, I can do that because I was looking for a way in which I can provide for my mother. I resigned from the Ohio legislature where I got reelected for the third time and went back to Miami to take care of my mother who was diagnosed with breast cancer. My sister called and said, Leslie, Mama has breast cancer. I said, I'll be right there. No, Leslie, listen, there are nice nursing homes here in Dade County. I said, you listen to me. Don't move her. So I had a problem. How can one woman raise seven children that she didn't give birth to, but seven grown people can't take care of one woman? No. And I never forget, Kim, when I went home, I rang the doorbell, and a friend of hers named Miss Mildred was there. She came to the door and she said, oh, it's Leslie. And Mama asked, I can hear her voice, Mildred, who is it? And she said, Mamie, it's Leslie. And I heard my mother say, I knew he would come. I knew he would come.
Mm.
I want to ask you, who is it? As you look at yourself, look at this business, look at this opportunity, look at your team and where we are right now, that you will go all in, that when you become tired, when you face rejection again and again and again, when the negative thoughts come in your mind, things happen that you don't see coming, and life just snatched the rug out from under you. Who is it that you can think about that you said, I'm going to be there for them, that when life knocks you down, you'll land on your back because if you could look up, you could get up? Who is it when you're ready to throw in the towel, but you think about them and you get fired up inside? That's why you have to have something that's your why, something that drives you. So let me tell you about this gentleman. I paid him. I decided I was going to become a motivational speaker. There was nobody that looked like me on stages, okay? That's why I've been trying to get you to do this because it's been dominated by these white boys. So I'll never forget, I paid this guy who's a high corporate executive in Ohio at Ohio Bell. And he said, Les, and I gave him a certified check, paid him several $1,000s. He said, I've got to be honest with you. I said, what is it? He said, I know I've trained you and you learn well. He said, I wouldn't hire you. And I said, why not? He said, I have an MBA. You have no college. I have years of corporate experience. You have no corporate experience. And you're talking about earning more in 1 hour than I work and don't get 70 hours a week in 1 month. He said, no. He said, you need to go back to radio. You'll never be able to make it. I want to ask anybody that's listening, have you had something that you wanted to do, someone you respected, and they told you you couldn't do it? In fact, he didn't have to say that to me. So I said, thank you. His wife said, Les, we watched you from the kitchen window as you got in the car with Mike Williams, your mentor. He wrote a book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. I wrote the forward for that. He saw this Les Brown before I saw him. It's very important to have somebody in your life that believes in you until your belief kicks in. And she asked him, she said, Ed, do you think he's going to listen to you and give up on this crazy idea about being a motivational speaker? And he said, no. And she said, Les, I was surprised. I said, why? He admires you. He looks up to you. He came to you to train him. Why won't he listen to you? And he said, he doesn't know enough to know he can't do it. Listen to me. You don't know enough about yourself to be a critic. You've got greatness in you. You don't know enough about yourself to look at your goals and dreams. And when you have setbacks and failures, or you go through a foreclosure, or you go through a divorce, or something happens to you like me. I was diagnosed 39 years ago, and they gave me 4 to 5 months. And now this is the Cancer Centers of America Award for Perseverance, a 39-year fourth stage cancer conqueror. You don't know what you can't do. And you've got to be determined. You've got to be hungry. You've got to be relentless. You've got to be unstoppable. You've got to be the kind of person that refuses to give up. I'm not having it. This is not me. It's not mine. Mm.
Mm. Wow, Mr. Brown. And I gotta show that photo. Maybe our admin can show that photo of, Les, where you were with Wesley, and then where
Yes.
you are. I mean, who you are. It looks like it's a photo from a black and white to where you are. But that journey, that integration of you knew we are all much bigger than our circumstances in life. Less, in my opinion, if it's not one thing, it's another. So those distractions that you're speaking of, we all get all kinds. Now it's this global trend that we're dealing with. But back in the days, is whatever we're dealing with. As a matter of fact, Les, since we're on this, I want to show you something that I've never shown anybody before. And that is, I'm going to show you my baby picture. All right. So, because there's similarity in that, it doesn't matter, what outside clothing we're wearing. We are all the same. Okay. So I'm going to show you my beautiful haircut, my little picture. You like my helmet haircut photo?
He's so cute.
It's like a little helmet haircut. Okay. So I don't know how old I was, maybe 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. Okay. Now, who would have thought? Look at that. It's like whatever. I think that was a picture I was taken in China. I'm like, I am not having it. My God, all this like dirty bathrooms. I said, no, it's not. Look at that face. Oh, what is that? Right? And and now, I mean, it's like that's where I was 5 years ago. I mean, 5 years ago when I was 5 years old, and now, I mean, it is so easy for us entrepreneurs, and I think that's what this call is about: is living the life that's you. Less you were. I mean, talk about challenges and obstacles and things that you have to go through. We all did. And I mean, I want to show this photo because you and I, we back in the days were black and white photos. Okay, that's our upbringing. It doesn't matter whether you were white, you were Asian, or you're black. It doesn't matter. That's just the outside layering, but there's something in you. I mean, Les, when we were dirt, I was dirt poor. When we were dirt poor, there was something that it wasn't immediate, but there was something that propelled you, that you never gave up. You went at it and you went at it. When someone closes the door, you find another way. I remember I read all your books, I listened to all your tapes. I remember you were sleeping in the office at one point,
On
trying
the
to make
floor
it.
of the Penobscot building, bathing in the sink down the hall. I had a young man who came to my seminar in Atlanta, and he said, "You won't believe why I'm here." And I asked why. He said, "I was listening to you on the cassette tapes that you had years ago, and someone gave it to me while I was in school. And I had a cassette tape player. Millenniums don't know about cassettes, okay?"
I was listening to
Yeah.
cassette tape. That's how I grew up.
Yes. And my grandmother said, "Don't listen to him. He has an office in the Penobscot building. He sleeps on the floor. He bathes in the hall down the hall in the sink in the bathroom. And he hides in the closet when the janitorial staff come. He's a loser." And he said, "Look at you now." He said, "You have no idea. I followed you, and look at where you are now." There's something that Dr. Howard Thurman said, and I want everybody to think about. There's something in you. You were created on purpose for a purpose. And as you think about it, there's something in you. You're an unrepeatable miracle. Dr. Thurman said the ideal situation for a man, a woman to die is have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the gifts, the talents, the voice given to you by life. But you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never used your voice. You never went into that business. You never went all in and gave it everything you had. And there they are standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, "We came to you. And
Mm,
only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you
mm,
forever." And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what gifts, what idea, what leadership, what voice, what story will die with you? That's
mm.
powerful. And I read that. That fired me up. It gave me chill bumps. Oh boy.
Les, like, so I don't know, somehow when I look at the black photo, when because I long, long time ago, when I saw you presented with that black and white photo of you and your brother, and then I saw my little photo of myself, when I was 5 years old. Somehow I want to show that photo because here from different parts of the world that we grew up in, similar situation but different, and yet we both went out there and live a life that's outside of the circumstances that were presented to us in life. And so here's I hope that today's session with Les, that for our audiences here and those of you that be watching on the recording, is that beyond the words that's spoken, the frequency, the message that you get out of this is that we are all, like Les says, we are all meant. This is a life that was given to you. What are you going to do with it? Because in life, if it's not AI, if it's not this, lay off. I was laid off 32 years ago. I think, Les, you knew my story. 32 years ago, I was a VP of a vitamin company, and I got laid off. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought that took away my self-confidence, took away hope, but I said, no, I am not having that. It's not me. It's not mine. There is a better version of my life that's waiting for me. I mean, the blessing that I get to experience, but it's not because I get to experience, because I didn't buy in my situation and circumstances that was presented to us. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, Les, is that for the viewers, people that are watching and listening to this, is to know that whatever you're going through, distractions, whatever that is, get out of that. That quiet cracking, and the media talk about quiet cracking and quiet whatever was it, quitting.
Quiet quitting. Yeah. No, don't settle for it.
No.
Decide that you're going to become an active force in your life. When you triggered something, I'm not a religious person. I'm spiritual. Religious people are afraid of going to hell. Spiritual people have been there. And and hell to me is what you experience when you die and
Mm.
you meet the person that you were supposed to become.
Mm. 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 Mm.
You knew there's another part of yourself, that inner conviction, authority and dominion that we have been given, made in the likeness and image of God.
Mm.
That there's another part of you that must emerge. And it doesn't happen in your comfort zone. All the things that happen to us, they meant it for evil. God meant it for good. My being fired, your being fired, had we not been fired, we wouldn't be who we are now. Marion White
100%.
said, in life, when you don't have enough courage and wisdom to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you. Life
Mhm.
moved on us. And as a
Mhm.
result of that, we are able to take a stand and be our own boss. Come on, somebody.
All
Well,
right. Absolutely. And Les, I would say this, especially recently, what I realized, Les, was this. I don't know if you knew that I took a trip to the Amazon. I was off the grid for 3 weeks, no cell phone. Did I tell you that, Les?
no.
Oh yeah. So I was off the grid for 3 weeks, and no cell phone. I didn't look at myself in the mirror for 3 weeks. And cold shower every day, and I live in the jungle for 3 weeks. Yeah, and so I would say this, that there's one word that if I were to like think about, live and all this is one word less that really came to me, it was like a light bulb that came, is this. It's humanity wanted, I think society had programmed us to want something now and something immediate, that immediate gratification. And when we set our dreams and our goals, to achieve, we expect that straight line trajectory. but the goals and dreams, the things, the stories that you went through in your journey to become a worldwide iconic, inspirational speaker, Les. There were like, it wasn't a straight line trajectory. You have to gone through peaks and valleys and curves and to get to where you are. And I would say this one word that really came to me loud and clear from my Amazon jungle experience is this word called integration. You know,
What
when
do you mean
we
by that?
Thank you. So when what I mean by that is this, when we have, let's say that somehow, somewhat you saw a vision, you saw there's a better version, a vision of yourself, be it like a life that's what you're meant to live, and where you are here today. Well, it's there is a process called integration to go from where you are now to where you aspire to be. We have to integrate things, journeys, decisions, choices that were presented to us. It's we have to integrate that, and it's not an immediate thing. Like, oh, for, perfect example, Les. When people come into a platform like this, a global community, a global platform, they talk to a few people. When the results is not what they expected or what they anticipated, then they go, you know what, this is not for me. Or I rather go back to my thing or whatever I was doing or that quiet quitting. But rather than say, you know what, let me think about what took place. Let me go back to my core, like engage to my core. What am I here to do? What difference can I make? What kind of impact can I do in life? And so that is to integrate that very core, not your surrounding, not what's presenting to you. That when you're willing to integrate of what took place, what's happening, that's not you. It's having the ability to have discernment and also to manage the invisible. The invisible is something that exists, but that's that invisible power of who you truly are, that match that beautiful light that you are. Like you and I, we went through that. I mean, we're still going through things in life, but the thing is, we don't let that stop us. And so it's when things happen not according to your anticipation, know that if it doesn't serve you, not you, not this is not you, it's not yours. There's something we got to integrate that experience, and that is part of the journey. Les, what would have
Yes.
happened when you every day you try to serve morning and that a TV station and you say, they go, get out of here, I got no job for you. But you say, you kept doing it because there's a force, invisible force inside you that you know more, you want it more, you want to buy a house for your mama, you want to do so much in your life. And that is what people need, I think, Les, in the time that we're living in now, to get out of quiet quitting, that quiet cracking. Get out of your head, get out of our heads, and know that there's more for you, more for all of us. Les, I am so grateful for you because at 80 years young, you care enough to call me every so often and say, Kim, how you doing? How can I serve? What I can I do to help your community? Les, you don't need to do that, but you did that because you care. And I have the utmost respect for you. For I mean, not only you're the best speaker, no, Les, for a beautiful light that you are, a beautiful human being you are, that at 80 years young want to continue to make impact to humanity. So I am so
Thank
great.
you. But
Les,
there's something you said that triggered something. You talked about people going through stuff.
mm,
A little boy was in a park and he noticed a cocoon. A caterpillar was struggling to get out of this cocoon. And he watched it with just childish curiosity. And this butterfly was struggling and struggling to get out of this cocoon. And pretty soon it fell to the ground and it flew away. He came to another area of the park a few weeks later and saw the same process taking place. This butterfly is trying to escape this cocoon and was struggling. And out of just naiveness, he decided to help. And he had a pen in his pants. And he used the pen to just to make a little incision to help the butterfly to get out without struggling. And when the butterfly got out, hit the ground, it fluttered its wings and it died
Mm.
because the struggle itself gave him life. The
Mm-hmm.
struggles that we go through, they're not designed to destroy us, but to empower us. The rejections, the setbacks, the failures, they build our character. Is the reason I said that people who don't have goals and dreams and stay in their comfort zone, that's where dreams go to die, in your comfort zone. There's a reason that said if a man is to gain his life, he must lose his life. That in order to do the things that we want to do, we've got to be willing to die to who we are now to give
Mm-hmm.
birth to who we were chosen to be. Everybody listening to me, listen to me. You are a masterpiece. What do you mean, Les Brown? You are a masterpiece because you're a piece of the master. You were chosen on purpose, with a purpose. My grandchildren ask me, they call me Papa. Papa, I got 15 grandchildren. And they ask me, Papa, what is it you want us to do when we get older like you? And I said, live your life the way you want to leave your life.
Mm.
Live your life the way you want to live your life. Live a life of no regrets. Live a life that resonates with your heart and your spirit, that fuels you, that you don't need an alarm clock to get up in the morning, that the world will be a better place because you showed up. Live a life that will outlive you.
Oh, beautiful. Les, thank you for who you are. Thank you for being you. And thank you for living the life that you are. And
Thank you.
and I would say this, Les. I mean, as you were telling the cocoon story, and I, reflecting on our journey as entrepreneurs. A lot of times, especially in the platform that we're in now, a lot of people go, I want to go to the highest rank or achieve the highest rank or having the success or the money, but without going through the struggles. It's like somebody doing the little boy doing using a pin to pin that. And when you were telling the story, it perfectly explained to me, in my opinion, it perfectly explained the word integration. The
Yes.
butterfly, the butterfly that went through its natural process of breaking away from the cocoon and to become from a chrysalis to become a butterfly. That is integration. The butterfly went and integrated what it truly is meant to be. And so in this call, this empowerment hour, I hope that I hope that you've felt, so besides the words of wisdom that Les Brown has shared with us, that you feel our hearts through our story. You get that is in you, that may you go out there and live a life that is you. And once again, Les, any final words to share with our audience, Les?
Yes, there's a quote I love very much. In life, you will always be faced with a series of God ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
Mm.
They're just God ordained opportunities to introduce you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Bye for now. Bye bye.
You so much. Well, need I say more? Thank you, Les. You are an inspiration. And 32 years later, I have the blessing uh, to have found this beautiful friendship in you. And I'm grateful for your mentorship, and I'm grateful for you being who you are. And thank you. And to our audiences, I want to thank you for plugging in tonight. And I hope that this call here today, that you apply all that you are and all that you gained, and live the best version of yourself, and living a life that's you. When things don't come your way, be the observant, be the witnesser, and say that it's not me, it's not mine, because you're meant for more. And there's more in you. And with that, I want to thank Les one more time and thank you all for plugging in. And Les, I love you. We'll
I
see you
love you and thank you for being a blessing to me. I appreciate you so
likewise.
much.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Happy Empowerment Tuesday. Bye bye.